The threat that's been posed by ISIS is clear for all to see. I think we've seen the dramatic rise in 2014 and the fairly spectacular demise of ISIS in the 4 years that have followed. But I think it's important to acknowledge that ISIS remains a terrorist threat. It continues to hold some territory. It continues to conduct attacks in Syria and Iraq and elsewhere in the globe. So for that reason, the scale of the threat is extraordinarily important to acknowledge. And once one acknowledges the scale of the threat that we face, both terrorist threat and, most importantly, the threat of stabilizing the societies in which ISIS used to operate and continues to operate in, that's really the challenge that we've been discussing here over the last several days, both the continued terrorist threat and the need to urgently grasp the fact that the stabilization effort needs to be, I think, a lot broader than traditionally has been understood in the last several years of global coalition operations and operations by the European Union and other allied countries, and the need to more firmly understand the root causes that have given ISIS the opportunity to emerge in the way that it did in 2014, and continue to give it the opportunity to survive and potentially grow again in the future. So never has it been more important to address these issues and to understand them more accurately. I think policymakers have been somewhat overly focused on military gains against ISIS. It's very easy to measure. We talk about numbers, we look at maps, we look at territorial demises and expansions, but the reality is, ISIS is probably less relevant in terms of religious ideology. And what's much more important is to understand how local politics, how economics, how socio-political disenfranchisement and other issues like that at the ground level. It's those issues that continue to give ISIS the fuel to exist and will potentially continue to give it the opportunity to expand again. That, I think, is what policymakers have missed. It's a natural reflection of democracies that we all work on relatively short timelines, but the challenge posed by groups like ISIS is a generational challenge. And just as it's a generational challenge in that respect, so is the solution. And I think that's what policymakers need to focus on a lot more.